Welcome back to another video. My name is Abby, and today we are talking about how to stop jealousy and envy. Now, if you're new to this channel and you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button, click the bell. It's going to show you whenever I release new videos. And if you really like this video, want to show your support, a great way to do so is hit that like button below. It really helps to spread this information. And if you learned anything from it, want to share what you took away, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. I always love and appreciate your feedback and perspective. So back to the video, how to stop jealousy and envy. First, let's talk about what exactly they are. Jealousy has components of suspicion, possession, and control. Basically, whenever you feel threatened that the connection that you have with somebody is compromised, you start becoming suspicious. You want to control it. You want to possess it because you're afraid that you're going to lose it. Now, envy is actually a subcategory involved in jealousy, and envy is all about comparison. You are basically longing for the perception that someone else has an advantage over you, and you want that. So like I mentioned earlier, jealousy and envy, which is under it, basically come from when you feel threatened, when you have this connection with a romantic partner, a friend, or even at a job, and somebody else comes into the picture and you feel threatened that this relationship, that the situation is compromised, that you're going to be without. The root of jealousy is you're afraid you're going to get abandoned. And I'm not trying to brag here, but I could have gone pro in jealousy and envy because in my past, it has been so consuming in my life. So I personally relate to this so very much. And the reason I made this video is to help give you, if you're struggling right now with envy and jealousy, to give you some relief, because that, when you're in that spiral, it can be so overwhelming and so stressful and really take and suck away any joy that you have in your life because you're in that mindset and that perception. You're just looking out through jealousy and it really is painful. So again, I made this video to help bring you some relief and potentially help you shift your perspective so you can understand what's happening while it's happening and make a new choice. And we'll get to that later in the video because I want to explain what it is, why it's there, and then also give you some information on how you can stop doing it and move away from that, because ultimately that's what happened with me. I started recognizing it, was fortunate and blessed to have teachers show me different perspectives and slowly starting to make new choices in situations where before I would have moved into jealousy and envy. So again, if you're experiencing jealousy right now or envy, you are afraid that you're going to be abandoned. You're afraid that you're going to be left. So let's talk about it in romantic situations, since this is typically where this shows its head. And again, I do not believe that jealousy has any place in a real love relationship. True love does not hold space for jealousy. Jealousy is there when you feel threatened that you are going to be left, that you are going to be abandoned. So in a situation where you have a romantic partner, that partner maybe starts going with a new group of friends, or maybe there's somebody new at their work, and you see that as a threat to the connection that you have with that person. So you start wanting to possess, you start wanting to control, and you're suspicious of their behavior because you're afraid that you're going to be abandoned. Now you can start to see that this has less to do with them and what they're doing and more to do with a previous wound of you being abandoned, of you being left. So really, when this is happening, as hard as it is, because it feels very much that this is about that other person, that if they would just be more loyal to you, if they would just show you more respect or whatever it is, then you would feel better. And I'm not saying in this situation that that person is doing exactly what they're supposed to do, but this video is to encourage you to take power over your life, to be able to bring more peace to you. And so that is going to be involving you doing introspective work, meaning, okay, when's the first time you felt this way? Because I would assume that this is not the first time, somebody who's very jealous, this is not the first time that you've been threatened and feel like you're going to be abandoned. So potentially early on, whether it be a parent or somebody significant in your life, you felt left, you felt neglected, you felt abandoned. So going back to that original wound and seeing and feeling yourself in it, looking at the situation, re-reasoning on it, bringing healing and changing the belief you have about yourself. Because potentially right now, if when you were a child, somebody left you, somebody neglected you, you have a belief that you are not worthy of love, that you aren't worth staying for. So potentially you feel that you need to do certain things, that if you're not controlling and holding on and doing something to force that relationship no one would really want to stay with you. At least that was part of my belief. That is what it sounded like to some degree, that unless I was doing all of this work to prove how good I was, to prove that I was lovable, this person would never see it. So if they saw somebody that wasn't me, that showed that was any way attractive or valuable, I felt so threatened because I needed them to come back to me. And I started doing things. I started trying to control them, started trying to keep them from certain situations because I was so insecure. And really, if you go to the core of that, that's coming from a lack. That's coming from actually a self-rejecting. Because if I'm comparing myself to this other person and I'm like, oh no, this person might leave me for them, I'm actually rejecting myself and the qualities that I have and what I bring to the table because I'm saying, oh no, they might leave me. In that situation, I left me first. I did not stay rooted in me, and I actually self-abandoned. I'm so concerned with that other person and what they're doing, I already rejected myself. And so because I'm making that person's opinion and decision and actions towards me more important than my own, I abandoned myself. And so now I'm looking and pleading and needing and chasing after this person in hopes that they will validate me, in hopes that they will choose me so that I don't feel abandoned. Since I self-neglected first and self-abandoned myself, I'm going to see that reflected in the world, most likely through this other person's behavior. But understanding what you're doing in that equation is most powerful. That if you stay with yourself and you're validating yourself and you're not leaving yourself, you will not be so invested and so desperate to get that person to stay. Because really, if you're abandoning yourself, you're alone and you're needing this person so bad to come back to you. But if you stay with you, you will not have that same level of loneliness, that same level of desperation, because you will be rooted, you will see your worth. And again, you will see that reflected. So in that first situation, if you're abandoning yourself and you're seeing yourself as not good enough and you're comparing yourself and being like, oh no, they might leave me, I'm not great, then they're going to see this and then they're going to go with this other person because I'm really not that great. You've abandoned yourself and you're sending out lack. So how you're thinking and how you're feeling is your state of being. So electromagnetic signature, sending it out. Your thoughts, the electrical component, and the magnetic part is your heart. The feelings, which are drawing the experience to you, you're sending that out. What you're going to see is a reflection of that original abandonment. Now, if you're staying with yourself and you're seeing yourself as valuable and you're staying and loving yourself no matter what somebody else chooses, you're not going to give that opinion or actions of someone else a value that's above yours. You know your value, you know your worth. And so you're going to send out those thoughts and those feelings, and you're going to see that reflected back. Regardless of what that person chooses, you'll actually start to navigate differently. If somebody is that invested in somebody else, you'll say, oh, this person actually doesn't value me the way that I value me. You'll actually shift away from that and go and find and have a reflection of somebody who does value you, who is in alignment with how you see yourself and how you value yourself. So if you're finding yourself, you're constantly jealous of other people and you're envious. The other thing about envy is you give your power away. If you see someone doing something, maybe it's about a career and they're making all this money and you're like, oh, I'm so envious, I wish that was me. Well, you're actually discrediting your ability to get to that position because you feel like they have it, and if they have it, you can't have it. Again, that is seeing yourself as not able to. That is seeing yourself in a disempowering state. So saying, wow, that person's doing that, that gives me validation that I can do that too. So good for them, that helps me. And there's more than enough to go around that I can experience that in my own way. There is nothing but abundance in this universe. Look at nature. A flower grows and another flower doesn't say, man, I wish I could have done that. Oh, there's not enough resources for me. Nature grows constantly. That a tree never asks another tree or looks at another tree. In envy, it takes its resources and grows towards the light, roots deeply, and spreads its branches exactly how it's intended. Never looking to another tree and asking how it should. Much the same as when you see somebody else outside of you doing something that you want to do, not seeing it as a detriment or an attack or a lack that you now have. They don't have an advantage over you. They're helping you to show you that the song in your heart, that drive that you have inside of your soul, you deserve to have fulfilled. Look at them as a roadmap to help you be inspired to do it in your unique way, not as a detriment that now you can't do it because they have it. If you continue to find yourself looking outside of you for validation, you will continually to have to chase and run and force. You will always have that lack because you have given the power to something or someone outside of you. Take that power back and realize that you'll never get the validation that you seek. This validation you seek is inside of you. You giving yourself permission, you giving yourself consent to involve that aspect, that amount of money, that relationship that's secure, or that dream career to be a natural expression of you. Take Neville Goddard's principle of living in the end and start expanding. Set that intention, that new vision of yourself. Stretch that attention and stretch that thing in the experience to include you in a natural expression of yourself. Have that strong emotion, have that new vision, that clear intent, and move towards it. And some ways in which that can help you move out of that jealousy and envy is looking at where, like I mentioned earlier, there's something that happened in where you're feeling less, you feel abandoned, something was taken away from you. Go to that original wound, try to remember when exactly it happened. And it might not be automatic. Just sit with it and sink more and more and more. You have to go into that part of you that doesn't have awareness or light, that's in the dark, and bring light to it, bring awareness. The next thing is going to be start being aware of your behavior. How are you acting? I found myself looking through social media and I'd be like, oh, that person thinks they're so great. Well, that's a form of jealousy. I am fearful, so I need to cut them down so that I don't feel as bad. Well, if I'm better than somebody else, that means in that same situation, if I'm using that strategy and that structure, somebody's better than me. But if I accept myself of who I am and celebrate the successes and rising of other people, help others when they're down, just the same as I'll need it when I'm down, and realize that we're all human beings expressing ourselves as we were designed to do for our ultimate purpose. Realize that in your behavior, something comes up. Oh, I want to judge this person. I want to make them worse. Oh, I feel insecure about their success. Start looking at that behavior. It whispers. As you start to do that, you will be able to bring awareness into those moments and then make a new choice, which is going to give you new thoughts and new feelings, which is then therefore going to help change your electromagnetic signature as your default, and start realizing and moving away from those little moments of jealousy and envy, celebrating and loving the successes of others. And the last thing that I will suggest to help you with jealousy is to choose yourself. Stay with yourself regardless of the opinions and the choices of other people. Refuse to leave and abandon yourself. Start looking at the values that you give. And if this is hard for you, ask your friends and family for 3 things that they love and value about you. Start using that information to change the perspective that you have so it can be more valuable and more accurate to who it is you are as a human being. You deserve to have your wish fulfilled, to live in abundance, to be in that secure relationship. Whatever's in your heart, you deserve to see and have that wish fulfilled. Stepping away from undervaluing yourself and rejecting yourself from jealousy and envy is one step closer to living in that life. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, click subscribe. If you haven't done so already, like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.